Welcome to the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. I bring over 40 years experience in the world of comic books and entertainment. Across 5 decades, I offer insights and opinions on the business and the art of comic books and pop culture. If it's happening in games, in streaming, in movies, in comic books, we are covering it and discussing it right here. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Rob Liefeld Show featuring Robservations. We are doing one final show for 2025. Let's do one final show, the finale, the season ender, okay? It has been a year. I'm going to say it again. It has been a year. You might notice it is pitch black pretty much here. This is bright and early. I am 5 a.m. Pacific, the morning that I am recording this final show where we're going to wrap up all things 2025 and share final thoughts, some outlooks, give you some well wishes. There's some business. There's some great thoughts. I have some thoughts. I have some opinions on all manner of things in comic books and pop culture. And this is where we're going to unload it all. We're going to unpack it, unwrap it, and however you choose to see it. But thanks for joining me, as always, wherever you're joining us on the Rob Liefeld Show, on featuring with Robservations, whether it's Spotify, whether it's iHeartRadio, Podbean, Apple, or our YouTube platform. We've expanded, and we made it the entire 2025 being your number one comic book pop culture show across all the platforms, and I thank you. That is not something I take lightly. That is not something that I ever believed. It was only 3 years into the show that it was made aware to me that was even occurring, that was happening. And just thanks for being part of the audience. I say it in the opening header that I bring all these years' experience. I'm gonna tell you about a meeting that I had this last week, that really did put it into perspective. One of the things for the final show, as you're watching with me now, that I added that I hadn't had before to cover this spot, because I'm like, man, I'm just giving them a big giant piece of wood right here, which is not the most aesthetic thing, but hey, did you know that the 1975 calendar matches perfectly with the 2025 calendar right here? Monday, November 17th is when you're going to be listening to this show. It was Monday, was the November 17th in 1975. Figured I'd hang up the 1975 calendar. I'm going to check out 1976, see if it does the same. I'll have it if and when we return. I always say if, because you never know what's going to happen in all these different months, weeks to come. I'm just thankful that we were able to hang together, do this together, have this fun time together. Thanks for all the different, the different episodes that you listen to. And we said some names that I'm glad we talked about. We talked about Paul Smith, one of my favorite episodes of the entire year, celebrating his epic 1 year. No one has had a more impactful year in comic books than his 1 year, coming from the field of animation, jumping into the X-Men boat with Chris Claremont, post the second Dave Cockrum run, and just putting on, for us, for most of us, the Cockrum Byrne, second Cockrum, Paul Smith is the golden age. After then, it gets a little tricky. The book dropped in quality clearly. If you were an X-Men fan at the time, you would say the same thing. There's going to be a book right now that you love the art team, the writing, the illustrator, and maybe every fill-in they ever get is just an all-timer. You just go, man, these guys, they're on it. They're going to click. They're going to leave one day. And the people that take over them are going to disappoint you. They're not going to be of the same quality, of the same measure, or maybe it's just they're not them. But Byrne, Cockrum, and Paul Smith could not have drawn differently. And they managed to uphold a certain level of incredible quality. We talked about Paul Smith. Go back, get that episode. We talked about Marvel struggles. I'm not the only one. The LA Times was talking about Marvel struggles because Bob Iger had his financial call where he broke down the earnings. And what do you know? They listed all the Marvel movies as disappointments, but didn't the trade press tell us they were great? Yes, they did, because the trade press is compromised. Promoting, I'm talking about the trade establishments and everybody on through, that there is an unwillingness to be as realistic as possible because of, and we can talk to you about access. Access has become everything. Access is everything in the White House briefing room. Access is everything in the locker rooms after games. Access. You never want to be denied access, so you're going to do the dance, but eventually it all lands, and eventually a few weeks, months later, after the financials come out, people are like, oh wait, this was a turkey. This was a total turkey. Marvel had a turkey year. I covered another podcast. They spent 3 times the money that they did on Deadpool Wolverine. Their single offering in 2024 to bring you 3 movies that altogether made less than Deadpool Wolverine. Check it out. Do the math. I did it. I read those numbers here on an episode. We covered Marvel's slip as a publisher. There was a time a top Marvel executive took me out to breakfast, 2016, November 2016. And he said, well, Rob, we're very concerned about DC. This was a running thing for a long time. We're very concerned about DC Comics. And we're very concerned that the industry won't be able to function if DC goes down. It's very important that we have a healthy DC Comics, because a healthy DC Comics makes everybody more stable. Never in a million years did I believe that it would be Marvel who we would be talking about. Like, can we survive without a healthy Marvel? 2025 answered in the definitive, yes, we can. We can, as an industry, survive without a healthy Marvel Comics, because DC has become robust. Image is as robust as they've been in the last decade. The other publishers, whether it's IDW, Dark Horse, everybody is stepping up. The excitement is being generated by DC and Image Comics first and foremost. And I have never seen Marvel Comics struggle to excite the base. A buddy of mine I was catching up with, he was calling me, he was telling me just randomly, I hadn't heard from him in a long time, wanted to tell me how my book Youngblood was, because Youngblood came out on November 12th, and it had already sold out before it came out. And let me tell you something, we are well past 100,000 copies on Youngblood. And when we do the complete tally of all the direct to consumer orders, it's more in the 170, 175 range. Youngblood was a top launch of the year. It was felt in the direct market last year. I'm grateful. I'm going to tell you, there is no way to express in a career as long as this one how grateful you are that something that you brought back to life, that had been dormant, it was never dead, but it was dormant, would receive the favor that Youngblood has, and that is because that I am fortunate enough that I have the favor of a large group of people. They're not a minority; they're a majority. They show up in giant numbers to interact. Whether it's when I take over Snake Eyes, which was selling 3,000 copies and goes to over 100,000. Okay. And it alarmed me. Just so you know, he's always looking at me. Every podcast, he's standing next to my Deadpool into my cable. Here, I'm holding up my Snake Eyes pop. I love this guy. I did what I would call my definitive statement. It was a little bit of fantasy. It had magic. It went just beyond commandos. It was more mystic in regards to Snake Eyes and ninjas and mysticism. But Snake Eyes Dead Game, when IDW told me that the book, G.I. Joe book, was selling 3,000 copies, I said, I've at least got to bring some bump to this, to raise awareness, because this shouldn't be doing this. It really was my childhood felt betrayed. Let me see what's behind here. Oh, there it is. I've done this once before. My childhood is this dude right here, okay? This is the G.I. Joe that I grew up with. He way predates. I am holding up my Kung Fu grip. It says it right there, the Kung Fu grip. This was my premier, wait for it, Dad, my doll. This was my doll. What are you playing with dolls for? Was the only thing I think Paul Liefeld was not thrilled about, because he associated dolls with Barbie, and I had a Lone Ranger doll. I had a G.I. Joe. This was my dude, G.I. Joe, the adventure team. The adventure team is how they build it. I had Eagle Eye G.I. Joe, which had a microscope in his eye. I had Kung Fu grip, as you see right there. It was inconceivable to me that G.I. Joe had fallen to 3,000 sales. Snake Eyes Dead Game, boom. You know what? I'm going to risk everything here. I'm going to risk everything. I've done this on my live stream, but it's right here. I'm going to tell you what Snake Eyes Dead Game. Snake Eyes Dead Game. This doesn't happen unless I do this. I'm going to sneak out. a frame, and I'm going to carefully re-establish myself. This was available. You can find these on in the aftermarket. It's 4 years later. Snake Eyes Dead Game with the red figure. They made a freaking collector's edition toy of this. So when I tell you that there is favor to be found, there is favor to be found, and in that favor there is truly gratitude, humility, because you're just so thankful that you have a path, a connection that still exists, that you can still activate, and it's based on the quality of the work that you bring. And we're gonna talk about talent later, and part of Marvel's problem, and what Image is not lacking, and what DC isn't lacking, but what Marvel is suddenly lacking, and I discussed it in our first part of the show, and it's serious, is talent. They've left. They've all left. They've gone on to other opportunities. You could call them greener pastures, whatever they are. They're different pastures. They're not. They're not on the Marvel. You know, they're not in the Marvel village anymore. They're not on the Marvel property. Okay, uh, and so I am very thankful, very thankful, and I just want to share with you. Uh, there is a giant exhale. My wife, she hugged me on Monday, November 12th, before she went off to play pickleball. She hugged me and she said, "Happy Youngblood release day." And I just laughed. She just knew it had been everything that we had been working towards. And Youngblood number one was, there's a part of this that I'll go into. I'll talk a little more about it. But this retailer said, Rob, when he called me about Youngblood to tell me how great the book had sold for him. And he seemed a little surprised because he had sold out. And he was like, and I ordered a lot. That's the surprise. He didn't order 10 copies. This guy ordered 100 copies. And he said, Rob, I could have sold 30 more. I could have sold 30 more. I had to let people down. I didn't have the book for everybody. So this wasn't a book that sold 10. It is one of the top launches right now. It is in contention for a top 2, top 3 launch at Image Comics alone with the direct to market. It's a top launch in the comic book business. And yeah, of course, I enjoy talking about it because this baby overachieved. Except some of you are going to be like, "No, Rob, we always knew." Well, you don't have that kind of confidence. Glenn Powell hosted Saturday Night Live just a few hours ago, and he came out and he talked about flying a UPS driver to be in the crowd when he got announced 4 years ago that he was going to be doing it for Top Gun Maverick, but Maverick wasn't coming out. So Glenn Powell had to, Lorne Michaels had to call him and recant. And he felt like, well, maybe that UPS driver thought I was lying because I never emerged. I never showed up on the show. This is part of his opening monologue, and he brings the UPS driver up. But in the middle, he's like, yeah, I couldn't fly him first class because I don't know how Running Man's going to do yet, okay? He qualified. I don't know. It's the Saturday of the opening weekend, and he doesn't know. He's not certain. As artists, we make work, we make stories. We're going to talk about some of the stuff that falls under that umbrella, exactly what Glenn Powell was referring to as part of the wrap-up, looking back. There are lessons to be learned. We're here to learn lessons. I hope we can share and learn. I look at things as a fan. I look at things as a businessman, as someone who is in the marketplace, who needs to be fluid, who needs to be relevant, who needs to listen and learn, okay? I never thought Marvel would be at a point where I am not buying a single Marvel comic because the combo of the blow me away artwork that I came to always recognize as part of Marvel's brand, combined with blow away story, it's just not there. It's just not there. Not for me. Not for my money, my credit card. If Marvel had 5 great books, I'd be buying all of them. Like I said, if you think for 1 minute that Marvel had a book that was as relevant and as impactful as any of the big books of the last year, like Absolute, Batman, or Battle Beast, we talk about it. We talk about it here. We learn from it. So before I jumped on, I checked my phone as I was trying to rise to get up to sit here and do this last show, the finale. We are in the finale, people. I got all these different, all the different stories coming through. Is that Dave Roberts, Dodgers manager, got no votes for coach of the year, for skipper, for manager. Okay, and there are people who are enraged, And there are people who say he didn't deserve it because he had the biggest payday. The Dodgers, that's going to hang around. That's something that they're going to wear, even though some of the guys that made the biggest plays, like Pages, or on the screen it said Pages, but it's Pages, and and some of these guys stepped up to make huge giant plays, and they were out there because the skipper, because Dave Roberts played a game of chess, which is why the excitement of baseball exists. Is who you going to move, whether it's your batting rotation, your lineups, who you going to put in the field, who you going to change up. There were times the game stopped. Dave Roberts walked out. He had to confer with the umpire. He had to tell him who he's switching up, who he's putting in the outfield, who he's moving. All of those contributed. And in that minute, no one is wearing a dollar sign around their head. You're going to be, Rob, you said talent. No, both teams had talent. Guerrero was formidable. Okay, the Dodgers beat talented teams throughout the playoffs. If your team is going to go all the way and win a Super Bowl and win an NBA championship, it is not a team that is lacking in talent, but it's the little things. It's the tweaks here and there. It's why MJ needed Phil Jackson to win. It's why Kobe and Shaq needed Phil Jackson to win. He gave that extra measure, that extra level of strategy, of insight, of wisdom. Bill Belichick, when Bill Belichick called the timeout against Pete Carroll, when it looked like the Seattle Seahawks were going to score on the final drive, and they're sitting, at the goal line. Bill Belichick calls the timeout. He's strategizing. He's in his hoodie. It's raining. He's looking across at Pete Carroll, and he's saying, think about what you're going to do next. Pete Carroll ultimately wet the bed. Instead of riding his dog, okay, riding Marshawn Lynch, who had been carrying 6 or 7 guys every 5-6 yards as they got all the way down there. He blinked. He put the ball in Russell's hands, and he threw a pick. Game was over. The Patriots would go on to regain championship form. And if you don't think for 1 minute, that there wasn't some gamesmanship, also called strategy, involved, how they didn't just give it to Marshawn. He was going to punch it in. I knew it from where I was sitting. The Seahawks were a one and done. Had they won that second championship, who knows what we're talking about? But strategy, and sometimes you call the timeout, you make the other guy think, you make him blink. Well, Dave Roberts he's just one part of this. Then I scroll down and I see Meghan Trainor, the singer. She had a whole bunch of hits, really was shining bright about 10 years ago, maybe a little more. She's talking out about how people are criticizing her and making her feel bad over her 60-pound weight loss. You guys, these weight loss drugs are part of our everyday life now. Do you seriously, can you really tell me you don't have a family member or a friend who is taking the shot, who is getting, something along the lines of what there are many versions of this. I know it's got 3 letters, but Ozempic, something like that. I have family members. I have friends. They feel better. They're lighter. They wanted some sort of control. You're like, Liefeld, who knows what science is going to do? You know what? I also know that carpe diem, seize the day, live each day to the fullest, be happy. And Meghan Trainor is talking about how she's feeling the best she's ever had, and people are like, something's wrong with you. You don't look healthy. You don't look well. And she went on to comment that she's trying to focus on herself and her own health after raising babies. And, bottom line, she's doing what she wants to do. But the public wants to make her feel bad about it. Well, of course they do, because Meghan, whether it's Dave Roberts, whether it's Meghan Trainor, I got another one for you, and I could do this all day. We could just be here with the outrage. Let's call it outrage. Sydney Sweeney, her boxing movie, Christie, which I personally thought was going to do better, but I didn't see it. I didn't go see it. Not yet. I will. I'll probably pay-per-view it, so the studio will still get money. I'm not that patient. That's going to wait for it to stream free on a service. I'll just hit that $29.99. Turn to my if 5 of us are together, 6 of us now, during the holidays. I'll just divide that. I'll go $30 by six. That's $5 a head. Boom. Cheaper than at the theater. If it's just my wife and I, same as the theater. Except we got to sit at home. We got to sit at home watching our big ridiculous screen in our comfy couch without the guy digging in to his gummy bears and the crackling of that plastic and the popcorn and the slurping. All the stuff that's grown to bother so many of us because we read about it. But Sydney Sweeney, she's is she right wing? Does the left not like her? They debate, is she MAGA? And she's always got to put up with trap questions nowadays. Okay, there's another star, as the thing I was listening to, another podcast that I was listening to before I came on with you today, was debating another star in a sea of stars. And is the age of the movie star over? And the I won't pay to see them club. And it lists names. It's the podcasters and it's some of the guys with the newsletters who are going as hard as these guys as they've ever gone. Because like I said, the trade magazines, there's a dance. There's advertising dollars. Do you want all of that Disney Oscar awards money, the SAG Award monies? Now they've called it the Actor Award, the Critics' Choice Awards money. These campaigns, they give a lot of ads. They buy pop-up ads. They buy ads in the print magazine. You got to do a dance. Do you really want to dump on the studio that's paying your bills? This was told to me. This was told to me by a guy at one of the studios. It's what you got to think about all the time. But in the podcast field, the reason people are seeking out podcasts, the reason people are seeking out the newsletters, the Substacks, good God, I have way too many subscriptions. I read everything. Sports, politics, entertainment are my big three that I am invested in. And the harder hitting, the more, I think, honest assessment of what's going on in all of those different fields is coming from, I would say now, non-traditional media. But one thing they all agree on, I read about all of these. Dave Rogers and the Dodgers, Megan Trainor's weight loss, and fill it in. There'll be somebody else, man or woman, who loses some weight, feels good about themselves, and everybody wants to dump on them, okay? Which is, we gave all of us, we all got access to a microphone. And nobody has any qualifications to whether they should have a microphone, including me. There was no form I filled out. I just grabbed one. And if I'm on X or if I'm on Instagram and I'm sharing my thoughts, well, I didn't do anything to earn that except I joined. Okay, we all are outraged and yelling at each other 24/7. So and if you're thinking that you have somebody that doesn't have outrage, show me your golden god. Show me your perfectly polished person that you think everyone loves, and I will show you a dedicated Reddit forum or a thread that is just trashing them, because that's what we do now. That's what we do. And I feel like I've got thick skin. I've been around enough. I woke up the other day to be pinned I was pinned in an account that covers entertainment, and I'm here on my phone. I'm checking it out. I'm sharing with you because of course I retweeted it because I'm proud of the quote. It says a guy who does bulletproof quotes says, Rob Liefeld says, get up, get back at it. That's how it's done. You have to have thick skin in this business, period. Okay? And so I feel like everybody needs to thicken their skin. Maybe everybody with thick skin is better than everybody crying. Maybe the thick skin is the best thing possible. Do I whine less? I sure do. When I call out that a movie is not doing a movie by a particular studio that made its name saying they were better than everyone else, has fallen short, stumbled, and has had a 5-year run of mediocrity, I'm going to call it out. I'm going to say so. So the part of me that was really moved, and if you want to call this opening Rob's Ramblings, feel free. Some of you will go into the comments and say, he doesn't say anything memorable or about business for a while. Oh, it's going to be one of those episodes. It's going to be one of those episodes. It's the finale. Did I say it already? We're in the finale. We're in the final episode. I am not going to not leave it all here because, guys, unless there's some special reason to jump back on and say hi, this really will be the final of the year. And again, I thank you. Thank you so much. if you know me very, very, very well, you'll know that in 1981, I got a copy of a book by a first time author. He had been a reporter, but his name was Cameron Crowe, and he wrote a book called Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And because of the nature of what he did, he went undercover. He was a reporter and a journalist for Rolling Stone since he was 15 years old. He covers much of this in his in incredible movie, Almost Famous. If you haven't watched it again, watch it again. This is Cameron Crowe's. That's his life. If you didn't understand that Patrick Fugit is playing, William Miller is Cameron Crowe. That's his family. That's his mom. That's his life. Stillwater is a distillation of the Allman Brothers, of the Eagles, of all manner of different bands he traveled with. He has a new book out. It's called The Uncool. I wish I had it here to hold it up. The Uncool by Cameron Crowe. My wife loves me so much. She got it for me. She got an early edition. It arrived. It was signed. I was thrilled. And then my heart sank with envy, with absolute envy, as I got to the chapter in the book where he lived with the Eagles. He lived on Mulholland Drive with Glenn Frey and Don Henley. He lived in their house, and he lived life with them for weeks on end. And that's my dream, to hang out with Glenn Frey and Don Henley of the Eagles in 1970 something. Okay. And it's right before Hotel California. He says that he writes in it that Hotel California ultimately was the album that broke them. And it was. There was one more, and then they were done. There was one more, and then they couldn't stand each other again. This was the music of my youth, but I think Don Henley has one of the best voices in rock and roll, and I think there's a reason that they have the number one best-selling album of all time. Check it. It bounces year after year. Sometimes it's it's probably been 20 years, 30 years. They've been a number one, and 20 years Thriller. But because it's we're getting into that 50-year range. But it's just them back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of albums. He talks in the thing that I also love, that Cameron Crowe writes about. My son called me up a couple of years ago. Maybe it was Rolling Stone, maybe it was Time Magazine. Maybe somebody was putting together a best of all time. And we love the Eagles in this family. My kids were raised with the Eagles being blasted on the long road trips to the lake, to Nevada for Vegas basketball tournaments, wherever we were going. Go through the whole album multiple times, multiple albums. And took my daughter to see the Eagles at the Forum a couple of years back, right after the pandemic. Joy and I, like I said, we've seen them 11 or 12 times since they reformed. It's magic for me seeing those guys, getting to see Glenn Frey. I've always told you, Glenn Frey, we got the news Glenn Frey passed away. Everybody, all of you got your alerts. As we were walking into the big LA Deadpool preview screening for fans. Afterwards, there was a Q&A with myself, Simon Kinberg, Tim Miller, Rhett Reese, Paul Warnick. Ryan Reynolds was having his own version of it in New York. He posted photos from his. We posted photos from ours. Stan Lee came up and sat next to me. Right before we went in, I walked away from going in the theater, and there was a Starbucks downstairs at Century City, and I just sat there, and I was like, I can't believe one of my favorite musicians of all time is gone. Glenn Frey is gone. I will never see him play again. I cannot believe I was able to see him play at all. We were there at Dodger Stadium when Deacon Frey, his son, had his first show with the Eagles. So this is a band that means a lot to me. There's a lot of memories. And again, they have a lot of hits. But Cameron Crowe said in his book, I read that paragraph so many times I can repeat it verbatim. He said, the rock critics didn't care for the Eagles. Cameron Crowe himself, a music reporter, said, I can't tell you how many times I would get into conversations with different writers and critics, all of which who would just trade like bootleg recordings with each other in their quest to name one of the greatest albums or artists of all time. But one thing that they would always agree on is that the Eagles should never have gotten a recording contract to begin with. They just were no good. Because my son called me up and said, Dad, the Eagles aren't on the list of this Time Magazine, of this. They're not even on the top 100. I said, Luke, the press hates the Eagles. They've never given them their due. Lo and behold, in this book, Cameron Crowe reveals that Don Henley kept a list of reporters, of critics, of people who had besmirched them, who had dragged them, who had said negative things. And if you met him at a party and you introduced yourself as a writer, Don, according to Cameron Crowe, who would know, because he lived with them, pulled out his card, and he had he had a list of names that he'd carry with him. Every city, everywhere he went, people who had said negative, and if you had said something negative about the Eagles, he would not interact with you. He kept a list. I was like, that's big baller. That's awesome. You guys, you wonder if it's in comics. It goes into every single culture. I was watching, you watch a video and then suddenly when it ends, it rolls you to another video. I caught the video of Tom Cruise. I mean, there's many of them, chewing out the interviewer for trying to step over the line, for trying to talk about his personal life. And he just stops the interview. He goes, "You've crossed the line. You know it, and I know it. This isn't what we're supposed to be talking about. We're supposed to be talking about the movie." And the guy goes, "Do you think I've crossed?" It's a British guy. "Do you think I've crossed the line?" And Tom goes, "You know you have." Talent knows who's out there crapping on them, okay? And they keep lists and they keep names. And it's just so funny reading in this book. But my wife gets me this book. Obviously, love Cameron Crowe. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, he went as a reporter first, not as a student. He still had credits to burn. Only the principal knew. And he made a life with these kids, and he wrote about it. And as funny and as impactful as Fast Times at Ridgemont High was, which rose above its station because the studio didn't believe in it, cut the amount of theaters, made it a limited platform release the opening weekend instead of a big deal. And Cameron has talked about this. That's part of recorded fact. The book was purchased by my sister because Cameron was obviously doing a lot of press now, because the big twist was I was a reporter all along, but I was so young looking that no one discerned that they thought I was a senior like everybody else. He said he made great friends, and he told them after he had written this book, he goes, "I wrote about you. I've changed your names, but I've written about our relationships, a brother, a sister, the stoner, the hustler, all these guys." And I was so intrigued. I was about to go into high school, and my sister had finished her copy. And I sat in my room, and it took me about 2 days to read Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And whether it was Mark or Damone or any of these other characters, I certainly didn't. Spicoli was great, okay? Didn't relate to him as much. But I definitely saw a lot of Mr. Hand in so many of my teachers. The parts about romance, and I was able to tell Cameron Crowe this. There's a sequence, and it's in the movie, and it's in the book, where Mark is told before he takes out Jennifer Jason Leigh, you know her in the movie as Jennifer Jason Leigh, the girl that he wants to go out with. His buddy says, "Order for the both of you." I took a date to the Velvet Turtle in Fullerton. It was my first date, the first night that I had a driver's license. I had set it up because I knew I was going to pass my driver's license. I took her out. I did the same thing. I said, "Hey, what are you going to have?" And when the waiter came, I did the same thing. "The lady will have," and I thought, I'm doing what this book told me to do. I was very influenced by, and by that time, this is 2 years in the past, 2.5 years past me reading Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But I just thought it was so incredibly well done. I thought it was so incredibly realized. I thought Cameron Crowe, this guy, he gets it. He understands it. He spoke to me on a visceral level, and so much of what he wrote about was a handbook for me. And it was such a pleasure to be able to tell him that. Joy and I were super fans. We bought the experience package. We went down to San Diego where he went to school. Fast Times at Ridgemont High, if you don't know this, it looks like Los Angeles. The whole book was set in San Diego. The crowd loved him. The crowd roared for him. He didn't really want to talk about his movies as much. What's special to him is all the rock and rollers that he interviewed, all the rock and roll people that he spent time with. The Allman Brothers, Fleetwood Mac, David Bowie, The Who. Did I say the Eagles? So many different acts, and he lists all of them. Jim Croce, Chris Christopherson, a lot of 70s acts, okay? And there was a guy who stood up, the first guy in the Q&A session stood up and was like, "Hey man, I've raised my kids to know these great talents because they're being forgotten in today's," and I related to that. And Joy, on our drive home, Joy said, "You and Cameron Crowe both broke into your respective businesses as teenagers. You were kids. I was hired at 18. He was hired at 15, way younger than I am, way bigger. But like Jim Shooter, who was hired at that age. to write stories for DC Comics through the mail. And Cameron Crowe got his break sending stories to people through the mail, selling stories, newspaper clippings from articles that he did for the local papers. He sent that to Cream magazine. He sent that to Rolling Stone magazine. That's how they knew him. And that's how he got these assignments. And she said, he got bit by the music bug and you got bit by the comic book bug. And if this show has served one purpose, like Cameron's book, and I have been writing a book for years. I've delayed it because I just maybe have too much to say, or maybe I don't quite know how to say it. Think about that with this big mouth. Cameron, he writes about his love affair with rock and roll in his book, The Uncool. He delves sometimes into the movies, but it's not where his heart is. And you could see talking to him during the 2-hour, program that he put on. We were able to meet and greet and talk, and I'd called ahead, and so I was trying to get as much time with him as I possibly could, and why not? In this session, there were people who he went to high school with, people in Fast Times at Ridgemont High who grew up with him, were there. They hugged him. We heard them tell stories. It was great. It was awesome. But you could see his passion was the musicians that he got to know. David Bowie, he speaks of with a passion. The Who, the Allman Brothers, the Eagles, especially Jim Croce. He really revels in that time. He revels in that time period. And when he was breaking in, he was told rock and roll was dead. Okay, you heard about that. You heard people say comic books are dead. But Cameron Crowe really awakened in me again the gratitude that I've had in sharing so many stories about people you may not have interacted with. Every time one of you says, Rob, I ordered the Marshall Rogers Detective Comics run that you boasted about. Rob, I went back and grabbed the Paul Smith. Rob, I got the Howard Chaykin American Flag. Guy, these episodes are almost 3.5 years old, maybe 4. And the guy's like, Rob, I bought your ElfQuest run, having listened to the show. That's the purpose of the show. That's the reason why the show existed, was to share some great journeys, some great bodies of work, some great memories that I have, that I think would be your great memories and have tremendous influence and impact on you. Marshall Rogers, Doctor Strange. If you haven't grabbed it. I've mentioned it. I've been really living in that stuff again. It's fantastic. It's superior. I thought it was some amazing, great work. It's superior to what I remembered. That was a time when you're getting Marshall Rogers, Doctor Strange. You're getting Michael Golden on the Avengers. On Doctor Strange, you're getting John Byrne. You're getting George Perez. Okay, you're getting Jim Starlin. You're getting some great Joe Staton, Staton, on Green Lantern. You're getting some. Just great, amazing Keith Giffen. Guys who have passed while we've been doing this show. George Perez passed since the start of the show, 5+ years ago. Neil Adams, Keith Giffen, so many others. But you were just getting so much talent, and that's just from the mainstream. Because then you had Howard Chaykin on American Flag. You had Mike Grell doing his own thing. Obviously, I haven't said Frank freaking Miller. The talent was incredible. And talent is what makes the great albums that we cherish. Cameron talked about the guys who didn't know that hit was the last hit they'd ever written, because so many people, they thought this is going to go on forever. I've seen it in comics too. I've seen careers who thought, well, this is it. I'm going to go on forever. I'm going to be special. Only to find out, nope, you didn't do enough to separate yourself. You didn't do enough to make that connection. There's an industry, music and comics are industries full of talents that while they weren't quite one and done, they didn't get the lift off maybe that they believed themselves they deserved. I haven't seen one of them who didn't maybe self-sabotage, not do enough work, not make the strongest connection, get satisfied after 6 comics. It's hard. This is a grind. Putting your art out there, putting the stuff that you do out there is a grind. And Jennifer Lawrence, I love her. She's another fun actress. She's out there having to explain why her latest movie didn't do well, and she's been put on her heels. A phrase for up against the ropes, like, well, why didn't this? You used to open big movies. Talent is under fire in the Hollywood business because of the salaries paid and the enormous spotlight that is granted them when they do this. Comic books is a little more underground. Music also underground. I've talked to you about bands that I've over the years when I read their stories, and their first album was a loss. So all of that money that the record company put into them with the recording machines, with the the technological aspect of booking studio time and cutting demos, cutting tapes, cutting tracks, and then the touring, only to have it then the price of making the album, distributing the album, then gets hung on them. And you got to get a second album out. You got to get a hit. They finally have a hit. That hit goes huge, but it only gets them to even. So they have to make a third album to make profits. This is fill in the, album. Fill in the rock act. There's dozens of these guys. Comics, as I've said, isn't as expensive. Certainly nowhere near on par with a television show, a movie, or even making an album. It's the thing I love about comics. It's the most punk rock, the most underground. I'm sitting here as, you know what? I had a guy, he's so talented, and we're going to be doing a whole lot more of these. A guy named Seth DeMoose. I love his work. Through my live streams, I have offered, it's not lettered, but the entire first issue of the upcoming Bad Rock #1. This is punk rock. This is how we distributed it. Ash Can edition, little mini comics. I put them up on my site this summer. I sold them. We didn't go back to press. We didn't make any ones. We didn't make new ones yet. This is a paying Seth to do this work and distributing this. While I felt it, it's an expense. It's part of the budget. It's nowhere near. This is punk rock. This is punk rock. This is how we do it. In this very, and then I go on live stream and I wave it around. It's not in stores. We didn't book it. We didn't put it in mass market, just like Youngblood. It's the beauty of comic books. I told you, this is the finale. We're going to have lots of thoughts shared. Cameron Crowe really awakened in me the appreciation, the same appreciation he had for hanging out with David Bowie or Glenn Frey, who he said he was slightly closer to. He and Don Henley got along great. But he had more personal interactions with Glenn Frey, who was aggressive, who he said was a hothead. He talked about camaraderie, and when camaraderie was lost, it made me think of Image Comics, when the camaraderie that we shared was the strongest. And camaraderie is a powerful, powerful word. And when the camaraderie is strained, it's when your favorite band breaks up. It's when the penciler on the book that you love the most leaves, because his camaraderie with the writer, they just don't get along anymore. They can't stand each other, and they part ways. And there's some magic to come, but it's never as good as it was when they were doing their thing that you loved the most. Camaraderie really, really resonated with me. And anyway, Cameron Crowe, great book, really made me reflect on my own career, breaking in as a teenager, seeing things from that point of view. He was discriminated enough. He was discriminated against because of his age, because of his youth. These are things that I have related to in my career. The nuts and bolts of today's episode, as we get to the nuts and bolts. Just think about what I talked to you about, okay? Everyone's outraged. That's going to be there when I turn this mic off and we don't talk again the rest of the year. Maybe it gets more. Maybe there's more sports figures, political figures, actors, musicians, artists that people want to scream and yell about. If they manage themselves correctly, they'll be okay. They'll get to the other side. Cameron Crowe awakened in me, as I said, a appreciation that I got to know Jack Kirby and George Perez and drove him around as a teenager when he came to the Anaheim Creation Convention. If I haven't mentioned that, that was a huge memory. 3 days of my life, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, run around making copies for him, driving him to dinner, driving him to the El Torito. Me and Hank Canals. There was somebody with me the entire time. I have a witness to this who loved it as much as I did. George himself had lost a ton of weight. He wanted to talk about it. He was wearing a svelte suit, sunglasses, a hairstyle we'd never seen him have. He had become the new Frank Miller. He would talk openly about his competitiveness with Frank Miller and John Byrne specifically, and the movies that he had to make to keep up with him. You don't think I was listening to all of it? I was listening to all of it. Jack Kirby if he said it to me, he said it to all the Image guys. I'd be doing what you're doing if I was you right now. Good job. Now, in some people, your Jack stands like your Stan. No, Stan would have said, I'd be doing what you were doing, Rob. Okay, that's Stan. Okay. Jack was a little more soft-spoken. Oh, I really appreciate that you like the work I did. I put my heart and soul into it. Okay, and then there's Alan Moore. Rob, did you see Reservoir Dogs? I've got thoughts. Rob, what I'm trying to achieve here is a modicum of what Quentin Tarantino established in Pulp Fiction. Okay, thanks, Alan. Met a lot of great people along the way. Worked with a lot of great people. Appreciate it so much. Appreciate that I got some of Gil Kane's last work, Judgment Day. Amazing. Worked with just some absolute titans. Kurt Swan was drawing Supreme from an Alan Moore script before he died. Known fact. The family called us up to let us know because he had been drawing a story that we had hired him to draw. These are great memories that I'll take with me. Great conversations. Getting to know Joe Simon. Getting to know his wisdom. Getting to know, he said, Rob, when you hold people's feet to the fire in business, they're not going to like you because so many people roll over. So many people roll over, he said. Joe Simon was right. So many inspirations. Comic books continue to be my dream. I'm going to discuss what I believe as we look into 2026, exiting 2025. What are the biggest brands? What are the brands, the boldest, most reliable brands? And this is what I want to leave with you. It lines up with the biggest story of 2025. The biggest brand in comic books, and right now the biggest brand going forward in pop culture is Batman. Whether it's Absolute Batman and the creative team of Scott Snyder and Nick Dragotta with Clayman and others, it is it's a bold, huge standout breakout, and we're thankful for it. If I don't communicate it enough, how thankful I am for that book. Because it's excited people. It's got people. It's the uncanny X-Men of its day. It's got people talking. It's got them excited. It's got them looking for the next. Then you've got all the other Batman books that we covered in great detail. So I'm not going to go into it. Certainly, Absolute Batman is kind of the flagship of the entire Batman comic book movement. Some of you commented to me in the comments that I left out some other. What I was focusing on was the biggest giant releases, the ones that moved the biggest needles, had the most numbers. I know there's lots of Batman number ones, whether it's miniseries or some stuff that doesn't last, but I was going out of my way with you, and it was Night Fight. Batman Night Fight with Dan Mora is got some big numbers. It was a big tie-in. And Dan Mora draws to me he's got my favorite style in comics right now. And so that was my favorite. But whether it was the regular Batman and the Return of Hush, whether it was Blind Bag Batman, Absolute Batman, Night Fight, Batman, Deadpool, Batman is the biggest brand. With Robert Pattinson getting ready to do that sequel with Matt Reeves, and then who is going to be the Brave and the Bold, right? Who's going to be James Gunn's Batman? That's a point of discussion in every quarter. And every actor that expresses interest immediately gets 1,000 TikToks and Instagram Reels debating. Everyone wants to know, they're in the know. What do you think? What do you think? Engagement. When the new Batman gets named and that actor emerges, and there's all manner of different names that are in the mix. You've heard them all. Whether it's Austin Butler, Alan Ritchson, Jacob Elordi. Now, none of these guys, I think, except for Alan Ritchson, who asked to be Batman, and I believe is not. I think has been confirmed that that's not going to happen. But everybody else seems to have their foot in this. And when Brave and the Bold, when that Batman gets cast, which we will assume is the Batman that will interact with now the Superman, Man of Tomorrow, the future James Gunn Superman, and the Supergirl, everything that's been established. That will be huge news. But Pattinson and Reeves, they're on solid ground, and they are going to make another movie that is going to get huge rush and huge attention Batman is the number one brand in our business, and it's not even close. Not all these brands are going to be characters. My number two brand is Robert Kirkman. Robert Kirkman. I don't have any work with Robert Kirkman coming up, and I have no skin in this game. We did some work in the past. That's now almost one of the jobs is looking at 17 years. One of the jobs is, I think, looking at 12 or 13 years in the past. But my respect for what he has accomplished. He pulled out of Marvel. He thought he was being underutilized. They hired him because they heard he had some good stuff going on. Other editors were buzzing about Robert when he was doing Walking Dead and Invincible. And he's talked about it here. And to this day, I know that there are stories that aren't being shared that should be shared maybe 10 years from now. But there was a big wig at Marvel that actually told him, "Hey man, when are you going to write something good for us?" After about a year, I'm told that Invincible is great and Walking Dead is great, but you haven't done anything great for us. Tremendous insult, tremendous slap on the face. It was the beginning of the end. Robert was able to negotiate his way out of Marvel, out of his contract. Did it the right way, did it, with lawyers. And he then went on and he made a very famous video with a green screen behind it where he's like, "You should do your own thing." And it's funny how the culture didn't kind of quite line up with what he was saying at the time, which turned on like young mavericks like myself back in the day. And if I had been just breaking into the industry, this probably would have been the thing that pushed me over the edge. But Robert said, you don't really walk out of a movie and go, "Man, I just wish I could do another installment of Raiders of the Lost Ark or another installment of Star Wars." Well, it turns out that is what people want. They want to be part of these top brands. But what happened is Robert created his own big brands. Walking Dead, now Invincible. The obvious spinoff of that is Battle Beast. And I'm not going to say Transformers and G.I. Joe, because Transformers and G.I. Joe were being done at IDW just a few years ago. They didn't have anywhere near the impact that they've had with Skybound. And that's Robert. Robert used his the fortune that he made on Walking Dead and now Invincible, and he put it into buying some licenses. And so he got those licenses. Marvel didn't get them. Dark Horse didn't get them. IDW didn't renew them. Boom didn't get them. DC didn't get them. Robert got them. Transformers has never been better. I'm not the biggest fan, and I buy it. I buy the books because they just look and feel different. I have no plans on doing G.I. Joe ever again. I did my Snake Eyes Dead game. I said my piece. I am so thrilled that it's able to be accessed, because I'm following up, because so many of you ask me after every show, "Are you going to do anything?" No, I'm not. I've done it. That was my statement. Snake Eyes Dead game. Best thing that could possibly happen is they give it a large hardcover a release. IDW did a nice trade paperback. I've gotten some editions overseas. I wish I'd had them in my hands. I got an Italian edition, a French edition. They're great. I hope to get a proper oversized hardcover release someday. While Skybound has that license, that'd be great. Robert Kirkman used his, again, that's just because you're going to say, "You should do Transformers or G.I. Joe." That's not going to happen. So we'll get that off the table. You go, "Rob, you're talking about yourself." Yeah, the show's called Robservation. It's called the Rob Liefeld Show. My name's going to come up. Sorry. Robert Kirkman is the second biggest brand, rivaling Batman. It's his brand, his investment, his finger on the pulse that has created the success of this iteration of Transformers, of this iteration of G.I. Joe. He's got his Battle Beast, which is one of the biggest, if not the biggest book of the year. He's got Invincible is going to be on until I'm in my mid-60s, okay? My kids love it. My 25-year-old used to be Walking Dead, we talked about. Now it's the Invincible cartoon. My favorite quote, I've said it all the time. "Now I know why we had all those Invincible comics around the house." Boom. He said, "Dad, I was paying attention. And now I regret not grabbing them and reading them." And I'm like, I do too. I also regret you not doing that. But also, as a Image partner, Robert wields incredible influence, and he has incredible power. And again, he has invested his money to the point where he's got a tremendous financial influence on the business. Robert Kirkman, his writing, the books that he's now taken over Transformers to much fanfare. Battle Beast, top book of the year. His company has the licenses to Transformers, to G.I. Joe, and launched a fantasy book with Dave Finch that we talked about here, Skin Breakers, about an alien race in a cool kind of fantasy fantasy adventure setting. And I know he's got so much more to come. There are books, there are comics that I was reading at his house in 2023 that you're not going to hold in your hands till 2026. I mean, completed issues. He's playing the long game, and he's succeeding at a level that I haven't seen in the comic book business ever. Because you don't have 20 episodes of Walking Dead, and what's going to end up being probably 10 seasons of Invincible, including spinoffs. I mean, video games. Robert Kirkman, number 2 biggest brand in the business. Under his umbrella are all those other titles. For number 3, and no, it's not Marvel. Marvel didn't make my top 3. I didn't know what to call this, but I'm going to call it Image Creators. Image Comics Creators. James Tynion, James the Fourth. Exquisite Corpses is another big hit. Someone's Killing the Children, monster hit. As books, as published comic books. I'm not talking about their media exploitation, which is underway. I assume all of it is. He's got so many incredible titles. His Tiny Onion label is cranking out success after success after success. I love, and in New York, it's called Swamp Thing. Someone's killing, some swamp thing is killing the children. Whatever they've mashed together, Swamp Thing and something is killing the children. Swamp Thing is killing the children. It's so great. It's so amazing. He's just making all the right moves. He's definitely an author of his time. I thought he was never going to leave Batman. And Batman was having one of the stylish resurgences right out of the pandemic. When he and Jorge Jimenez had taken the reins from Tom King, who had taken the reins from Scott Snyder, people were buzzing. People were absolutely buzzing about what James and Jorge was doing together. And then he just left. He left to do all of his own creator-owned stuff across all different publishers, whether it's Boom, whether it's Image Comics. So as a creator in the field, his written words, his characters, I do believe he's the guy that created the sentence comic. Something is killing the children. These assorted crisis events. It's cool. It was necessary. It was a build out of just supreme profit. Okay. He's having tremendous success. The Ghost Machine guys, Jeff Johns, Brian Hitch, Gary Frank, Jason Fabok, and everybody else I'm missing. These guys are doing tremendous work, beautiful comic books. Ivan Rice, Hyde Street. They put together this consortium, this company, and it is making amazing comic books. Brilliant, beautiful, gorgeous, deeply moving and exciting graphic work. And they're doing it through Image. They bonded, they made that pact, and they're having tremendous success. And like Tynion, they've got media stuff coming. Action figures, movies. I love Redcoat. I love Hyde Street. I love Rook. I love Geiger. These are great, fun, incredible comics. And there's so many more. There's so much more. They're doing a great job of getting their brands out there. But it happens under the Image Comics umbrella. And then finally, I'm gonna go with the Image under the Image Creators. I'm gonna go with the old dogs. I'm gonna go with Todd, and I'm gonna go with Rob, and I'm gonna go with Mark. Who knew that in the 80s that we would still move needles? And that's what it's about, people. It's about moving needles. Todd went from one Spawn book to, I don't know, is it 7, is it 8, is it 12? He said he wanted to have a Spawn book on the shelf every week, just like Spider-Man, and he's done that. Spawn is a powerful brand within the Image, under the Image umbrella. Mark Silvestri relaunched Witchblade and Darkness in the last year. Darkness is coming out here. It's riding the momentum of Mark. Mark's success, his standard, the team that he put together. He's doing covers. I'll be buying those. I'll be buying Darkness. I'm excited by it. And then you got old dog Liefeld, 58 years old, Youngblood #1, exceeded all expectations. Kind of a hyperactive, just very impulsive release. This time last year, I wasn't drawing Youngblood. I wasn't going to draw Youngblood. But around Christmas time, I started drawing Youngblood pages. I knew that this was going to be it. I was going to bring it back in 2025, 33 years to the day if I could. Land it. We had an opening at a Golden Apple to celebrate it. Boom, brand new Youngblood. Written, drawn, inked. Myself, Chance Wolf, is my #1 inking roll dog, doing great work, doing tremendous, just putting down incredible lines over my stuff, helping me to make these deadlines. Corey Hamster's pitched in. Ed Tadeo has pitched in from time to time. But Youngblood was above and beyond. One issue of Youngblood has generated more income for me, and it matters. Money matters. Cameron Crowe will talk about, there's an episode of Mad Men when some of the employees are disgruntled and John Hamm reminds them, that's what the money's for. Maybe your ego got bruised. Maybe your name's not in lights, but that's what the money's for. You gotta generate income. 5 issues of Deadpool team up. I've been honest with you. I got $25,000 an issue. Not counting royalties, but with covers and writing and drawing. So you do 5, you get 125. Youngblood has brought a tremendous multiple of that number, a tremendous multiplier. It's one comic. One 30-page comic has done a tremendous multiplier to 5. Did I foresee that? I didn't. I did not on any level whatsoever. I just wanted to do it. I felt like it was time to get it out there. The profits from Youngblood, when we did Giant Size Youngblood #1, which is a release that you got if you went to San Diego Comic-Con or you ordered it from me online. It's no longer available at this time. It'll probably rear its head sometime in 2026. As I'm drawing issue 4 right now, and including Giant Size X-Men, which is published, which was out there. People in the mail got them. You ordered them from my site. You got them from me at San Diego Comic-Con. I was going to bring them to New York, and then I decided, nah, I got too many other things going on. I could reignite it. I could do another printing of it in a minute. I probably will. But with Giant Size Youngblood #1, 30, 30, 30, 30, okay? 120 pages in 4 issues, which is more than 5 issues worth. Deadpool Team Up was 105 pages. That's 5 issues. 4 issues of Youngblood to date are over 120. I'm into it. I'm locked in. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for selling out. Your retailers, they stepped up. They ordered a healthy amount, and there still wasn't enough. The ability to move the needle 5 decades in for Todd, for Mark, for myself, for Eric Larson. Jim Valentino is mostly retired. The legacy that we started when we launched this company is as strong as it's ever been in 2025, heading into 2026. Image Comics have books that are generating word of mouth, that are generating excitement. It's one thing to buy a book. It's another to hear that people like it. People like Youngblood. They like Geiger. They like Redcoat and Rook and Hyde Street and Darkness and Witchblade. They're talking about them. These are the new books that are replacing the world. While Marvel figures it out, we hope Marvel figures it out. When Marvel figures it out, we'll talk about it. The Image creators, our brand. See, when you do something by yourself, you understand what your real number is. James Tynan knows what his real number is. I know what my real number is. It's not Deadpool. It's better than that. We established this when we launched Image Comics. When you bought Spawn #1, you bought Todd McFarlane #1. When you bought Youngblood #1, you bought Rob Liefeld #1. When you bought Cyberforce #1, you bought Mark Silvestri #1. There was no history. There was no previous, any sort of guest appearance. I mean, when I say no history at all with these characters. I don't need to say anything further than that. They didn't exist. You bought them, you got excited because they were an extension of us and our talents and our ability to make work. The thing in Hollywood right now, that I've been reading in all the different trades, and it's just a function of, it's not important. It's just something to discuss. The Rock had the Smashing Machine with Emily Blunt, with the Safdie, with one of the Safdie brothers directing. I don't want to say the wrong name. You had Robert Pattinson, who had the Twilight franchise. You had Jennifer Lawrence with Hunger Games and X-Men notoriety, and they did Die My Love, and it underperformed. You got Christie, that boxing movie, the Sydney Sweeney embodying this breakout female boxer that was very much higher, maybe on the awareness than the character that Dwayne Johnson was portraying in The Smashing Machine. Christie severely underperformed. You've got Julia Roberts, who was in a movie with an acclaimed director. I think it was called After the Hunt. It severely underperformed. These are giant names that command budgets, and I mean, we've named Jennifer Lawrence, Robert Pattinson, Emily Blunt, Dwayne Johnson, Sydney Sweeney. We've named trying to think all manner of different Channing Tatum, Roofman, and they're all doing much less. And so the headline in all the newsletters and the trades are, movie stars don't open movies anymore. Movie stars don't open movies. You know who sells comic books? Comic book stars. Stars in comic books still matter. That's why you're buying Spawn. That's why you're buying Darkness. That's why you're buying Youngblood. That's why you're buying Exquisite Corpses. The stars in comics still make a splash, but you won't know unless you step away from that character that you're leaning on, that you're relying on. And that's a fact. That's just a fact. That's not something that is discussed. Frank Miller stepped away from Daredevil. He made Ronin. Then he made Dark Knight, and then he did Sin City and 300 and so many other very personal projects to himself for over a decade. His name was the name I was buying. Above Sin City, that's what mattered. Frank Miller was the brand. The image creators are the brand. We got Batman, we got Robert Kirkman, we got the image creators. When there's a great Marvel comic that we're all buzzing about, we're going to talk about it in 2026. I have no doubt. But we're not there yet. That is, to me, the biggest things that I learned about the comic book industry. Big star talent matters in comics. They've stepped out from the corporate brands and proved it above and beyond. Some of your favorite creators, they have independent works. They're being made into cartoons and movies right now as we speak. But the names that I mentioned are all making prominent, independent, prominent creator-owned work right now as we talk, as we speak. It is an exciting time in comics. We end 2025 with the absolute recognition that comics are in a great place. Comic books they rebounded huge. This isn't a Cry Me a River, woe is me comic book. No, comic books are exciting. All of these different books are moving needles. They're generating big sales. They paid some rent. Anytime you're moving the amount of numbers that all of these books that I've talked about are moving, you're contributing to the bottom line. You're helping the stores make money, pay their staff, pay their overhead. And the creators are doing well. The creators are making money that they can invest in other projects. Youngblood, direct to market, those funds went into Badrock and the other issue and all the other projects you're not hearing about right now. They funded all of the talent that helped me with Giant Size Youngblood number 1, with Youngblood number 2. Youngblood number 2 has been in people's hands for over a week. It's not out in the mass market until December 17th. As I record this, and you're listening to it on November 17th. I do these collector's editions. This is the entire first issue. The only page I'm really comfortable showing you, because everything else is in the spoiler category. Okay, people know they've read it. Many people are telling me, sharing with me, that they enjoyed this one more than the first issue. We're having a good time. We're making plans. Publishing is doing well. The print media in comic books is booming. 2025 was a great year. Thank you to everybody who made great comics, who moved needles, who drew more attention to this great, amazing art form. That's that we are an art form. We are an art platform. In the same way that Cameron Crowe spent his life celebrating and making art that was very much rock and roll fueled, all of us are making comic book fueled art. And as I do pretty much every day, but I'm going to do it right here, I'll raise my imaginary glass and I'll toast the greats of yesteryear: Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, Neil Adams, George Perez, all of Joe Simon, Gil Kane, Keith Giffen. So many names that have left, but they've left their mark forever on this business and their influence forever. And to them, I am thrilled. To all of us who are making comics now, let's make some great comics. Let's make 2026 better than 2025. What a great year. So many great books. That guy with his arms folded, I mean, we just don't know if we could survive without DC Comics. We're surviving and thriving in an industry that Marvel has never been weaker than it is as I record this podcast. And we're doing great. And we're going to do great. As I say goodbye to you and wish you the very best holiday season, you know that you can reach me online. At Robert Liefeld is my X handle, my Twitter. At Robert Liefeld. I love talking to you guys. I was replying to you, talking to you, retweeting you, exchanging replies. I read your replies, your mentions, your comments, your DMs. At Robert Liefeld, ROBERTLIEFELD, blue check mark signifies it is really me. That's me. And I love social media and the connectivity that it provides us. At Robert Liefeld on X. Over on Instagram, I'm Rob Liefeld. Thank you, Joy, for getting my name. Rob Liefeld, blue check. Both Robert Liefeld, Rob Liefeld, Instagram X, blue check, signifying it is truly me, the genuine article, the real deal that you were discussing, talking with. I'm replying to you, reading again your comments, your replies, your mentions, your DMs. Thank you for following me. We're having some fun time putting up some fresh content on Instagram, and we keep changing it up, and we're going to keep changing it up. We're not sitting still. And my main man, Scotty, is always got some great ideas for us to do stuff, and we're doing it, and we're having fun, and I could not be happier to be hanging out with you over on Instagram at Rob Liefeld. If you haven't given us a follow yet, follow us. We've got daily content over there. We're going to continue to share with you advanced preview notices of art, stories, announcements. You'll hear about it pretty much first on Instagram at Rob Liefeld. Look forward to seeing you there. On TikTok, I am Rob Liefeld. We activated my account. We definitely, that was a dormant account that we roared to life. That is me making that content, approving that content, sharing that content, talking to you, and all, again, your replies, your comments, your mentions. I love hanging out with you guys on TikTok. Rob Liefeld, give me a follow. Can't wait to interact with you. We have a group on Facebook. It's called Rob Liefeld Marvel Extreme and Beyond. It's a group. Go on Facebook. Look for Rob Liefeld Marvel Extreme and Beyond is our group. Join us. We'd love to have you. We'll be hanging there, breaking down comics, talking comics. Youngblood 2 will be out. We'll be discussing that. I'll have sneak peeks of 3 and 4. It's a much more deeper conversations are had over there. Each and every episode of this show gets a dedicated podcast for you to share, to discuss, to parse, to compare notes. What'd you think? But we have art contests. Great young talent is breaking out all over. There's great art contests. Terry Sala, Sala, is my co-administrator. He runs the group with me. We would love to have you find it. Put your name in. We'll click you on through, and we look forward to seeing you. Rob Liefeld, Marvel Extreme and Beyond. My live stream is not going away. It's going to be kicking all through the holidays. Whatnot. Follow me, Rob Liefeld. Batman Deadpool is coming. You are going to only be able to get signed exclusive copies from me through that portal, okay? I do all manner of remarks, sketches, sketch editions. I do a special, my Liefeld logo is called art. It is classified as artwork by CGC when they slab it. Artwork, remark, art by Rob Liefeld, because the blood splatter Liefeld chisel, the Liefeld drop shadow chisel, the blood splatter chisel, the rainbow chisel, the regular chisel, It's like me drawing on the comic. We do all manner of exclusives. We've now got the Rob Liefeld blind bags that we'll be sharing with you guys. We've got limited and special editions of Youngblood. We've got a history of all the extreme comics that we offer there. We've got copies of Prophet, Evangeline, Supreme, stuff that we share all the time. It is me talking to you like this, but there's a live stream component to it. Live streaming is what brought Youngblood back. It started with a book called Last Blood, which we have those exclusives. We've got 3 issues of Last Blood, which is the end of the Extreme Universe. It deals with the final fates of Brigade and Bloodstrike and so many others in a world that is completely twisted and turned upside down. Last Blood is where this all started 2 years ago. It gave me the juice to bring you Youngblood. Get these books, Rob Liefeld on Whatnot. Get the app, follow it, go to the comic book section, follow Rob Liefeld. You'll be alerted all throughout the holidays. We have all manner of toys and coffee table books, all sorts of gifts. I know that it's gift season. Gift season is among us. We'll be sharing gifts with you on the Whatnot live stream. Rob Liefeld, follow me. We will hope to see you there. Right now, you got about another week to get your submissions into CGC. Get those comics, get them in, go to the CGC page, pull down the Rob Liefeld menu for the Rob Liefeld Signature Series signing. Hand your books in, and let's go. Let's freaking go. CGC is at the top of their game, especially with the quality of the books that we're printing now on much nicer paper. The reason so many 9.9s and 10s are coming back with these books is because the quality of this is a gloss cardstock that Youngblood, we don't do the cheap paper. We don't tolerate the cheap paper. We do the nice stuff, especially in our direct to consumer editions. That's how we do it. That's how we roll. CGC, they are ready. They're ready to receive your New Mutants 98, 87, your What If Wolverine that I did in 1988, your Hawk and Doves, your X-Forces, your Captain Americas, your Prophets, your Evangelines, your Youngbloods, your Brigades, your Snake Eyes Dead Games, your Deadpool Batmans, your Batman Deadpools, your Deadpool Batterblood. Get those comics in. Go to the CGC website, look at the menu, check out the pricing, get those books in before the deadline. I will be signing those books in December. Man, I got a lot going on, and I still got to do about the comics. Unfortunately, I won't be going to a show near you. I won't be going to a show. I'm planning on being in San Diego next year, but December, January, February, March, April, May, I just don't have time to tour, to be under the rooftop. And just so you know, many of the people always ask me, "Are you going to do this?" If it's a Fan Expo show, you'll never see me there. Just so we know, just so you understand, Fan Expo, I just don't. I think the executives that run it, they're just not my cup of tea. I don't think. I think they're, in my opinion, they're bad actors, and I don't do any business with them, and I haven't for, I think, 5 years. 5 years now, and again, I can make my own juice. Okay, if I want to go and promote, I'll go to a store where the parking is free and you can enter for free. Okay, it's not to say I won't do conventions. There are certain ones you just can't not do, but I did skip New York for a couple of years, so there's no guarantee because of the time involved in traveling and time away. That's why you should seek me out on the live streams with the Whatnots, and let's interact via this component. Our live stream, My Whatnot, has a 5.5-star rating. We have thousands. We have sold, I think 24,000 items. I think the other night we had 158 packages and over 440 comics that we moved, and we have that 5-star rating, and we have those great reviews because we deliver. We know how to get you the goods. Okay, guys, it's wrapping up. I'm trying to take measure that I said everything I wanted to say. I am going to give a shout out right here at the end. I listen to a lot of podcasts. All the Right Movies is a podcast that you should be listening to. All the Right Movies. I have been listening to these guys for years. They have a great account on X as well, All the Right Movies. They are a podcast that they have a rousing good time. They're a bunch of Brits. They're super fun guys. Here, I'm going to show it to you. I'm gonna pull up All the Right Movies so that you can see what I'm talking about. These guys are funny and they are informed, and they do some of the best, what I call cinematic autopsies about your favorite movies than any other. All the right movies. Okay, here it is, right here, guys. Right here. There are these handsome. I don't know if they're Scottish, if they're British, so don't get mad at me if I say uh, it's four creatives, one shared passion. John, Luke, Westy, and Matt dive into cinema's greatest productions. Again, get ready to listen to all of English accent. This, that, and the other. And I'm British, and I'm British, and you're British, and I'm British, and we love movies. Okay, but they're the best. All the right movies. Love these guys. Can't get enough of them. They are. It says the story of Hollywood, one film at a time, four creatives, one shared passion, movie making magic, insightful, interesting, entertaining. And I can tell you, it is entertaining. If entertainment is your thing, all the right movies. John, Luke, Westy, and Matt dive into cinema's greatest productions, revealing how it was done, whether it works, and why it matters. Want to know how Stanley Kubrick made the shining snowy maze in Blazing Heat? Hint, 900 tons of salt and a furious catering team. From golden age to modern classics, we discuss the creativity and analyze the artistry behind the most important films ever, each episode revealing a new layer of Hollywood story. All the right movies, they're on that's on Apple, YouTube. I've listened to them on all the different podcast platforms. Look up All the Right Movies. These guys are great. I've talked to them online several times. I wanted to give them a dedicated shout out. All the right movies this holiday season. Just start going through their catalog. Go through their backlog. They're fantastic. They're wonderful. They're so funny. Again, just get ready for a little bit of this and a little bit of that because am I Scottish? Am I British? And they're going to laugh at me right now because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. But you'll know. You'll hear those accents, okay? Guys, at the end of every show, I always wish you the very best. I hope your physical and mental and spiritual and emotional well-being is where it needs to be. Guys, when I started the show, all 5 kids were under one roof. Because of the pandemic, my son had to come home from college his sophomore year. He was having the best time. I've never seen him sadder than that March when he was told that his school was shut down and maybe they'd be back in the fall. Just boom, kick in the nuts. He was so, it took a long time for him to work out of that depression. He loved it. He loved going to school. I'm so thankful they reopened and he had a full junior year, a full senior year. Baylor won the NCAA basketball championship his junior year. It was so fun. It was so fun to watch. But they were all under one roof. My other 2 were wrapping up high school. Now it is the rare occasion that we get all of our family together. My oldest is married. He had the best wedding ever. So much fun. But holidays are coming. You're going to be with your family, hopefully, your loved ones, your friends. We are 1 week out from Thanksgiving. It's my favorite holiday. Just a day to give thanks for what you got, the people you love, the relationships that have inspired you, that have comforted you. I don't know what you're going through, but I know everybody's going through something somewhere. We all got burdens we're carrying, and maybe 2025 was not the great year that I'm boasting of with comic books. Comic books was this great year. You're like, Liefeld, I had a shit 25. It was awful. My heart goes out to you. Just know that you got to wake up. You got to put one foot in front of the other. You got to reach out. You got to ask for some help. These are my recommendations. You're not alone. We are rooting for you. If I have met so many of you, you send me so many messages. I try and communicate back to you, but I may never know you, but I can root for you. And we're so many people that have listened to this show. I meet them in person when I do the shows that I do. When I go to San Diego, when I go to New York, this show is the first thing people mention to me. I'm so thrilled. I'm rooting for all of you, for you, your kids, your family, but mostly your happiness. When things are grinding me, I get out, I touch people, I go be around people. We sit in an ice cream parlor. We'll go have a dinner. We'll take a drive. We'll go for a walk. We'll see all these different people on the walk. My wife goes into the world every day. She's living her life to the fullest, making relationships. I hear her on the phone with her friends. They're comforting each other. Maybe one of them is going through something else. At our age, our parents are all dying. Both of my parents are long gone. People are dealing with stuff, sicknesses, illnesses, health, family matters, kids. Today's kids are struggling. I did not, my wife and I, you'll hear people in my generation, we're so thankful we didn't grow up with smartphones and with the ability to have to navigate a very tricky world that is kind of being observed 24/7, which is what we're all being with these smartphone apparatuses. Whatever something that you're going through, we want to lift you up. We want to reach out to you, boom, give you our love, give you our support. Hope that you are doing something to change your perspective. One of my kids did. He was frustrated. He's changing that perspective. He's making a different move. He's taking things in new directions, because to stand still and to just tolerate the existence of what's going on now was just not okay with him. So he moved. He changed his perspective. He made moves to change what he was doing. It can be done. Again, reach out, ask people for help, share your burdens. People love to help other people. We are, I think what we do best when we decide to do it is lift each other up and love on each other. So let's do that this holiday season. I wish you nothing but the best time with your family, the best time with your loved ones. Thank you for listening to this show. You mean the world to me. I have a love-hate with this show, more than you will ever possibly know. But at the end of every episode, I'm happy that I rambled as I did and shared some aspects of something that I was learning that I wanted to share with you. Like I said 40 minutes ago, none of us earned our microphone. We just bought them at the store. And now we just interact and we blather on every time. Outrage, outrage, outrage. It's a balance. We got to be careful. I don't know when I'll be back. I do not. I have not given any thought to it. I don't know what is going to happen with the show. I don't know when the show will return. All I know is I thank you for listening. There's an incredible catalog. I view this show as my diary. If I were to get hit by a car, run over, die, drop dead of a heart attack because I have way too many peanut butter cups, I'll have left it. The things that I love and the comic book industry I love and the history of comic books as I experience it, I will have left it on these recordings. So big back catalog. Chances are, because some of you will say, hey, Rob, have you ever talked about American Flag? And I always say, hey, I gave a dedicated episode to Howard Chaykin. Go check it out. I gave a dedicated episode to Paul Pope and his Batman. Enjoy yourself. Take care of yourself. Love your family. Love each other. I love you guys. Thank you for all the support you've given us. Have a great rest of the year. Have a great holiday. Hopefully, we will connect again in 2026. I won't be out there. Don't look for me for a while. I'm going inside, and but when I come back out again, if I come back out again, I'll be right there, because the intention is to absolutely, most definitely, inevitably, the intention is to talk again somewhere very soon down the line.